merch and the Crystal Tea Room. We really appreciate all your efforts. So thanks a lot. And if we're crediting all the facilitators of Shane and Danielle's wedding, I've got to say, shout out to Hinge, the only dating app worth a damn. Not a paid advertisement, just the truth, and coming from a place of deep personal bias. But first I'd like to pay tribute to the bride, Danielle. You've been a warm and bright presence in all of our lives from the first time we had the privilege to meet you. I know the typical best man speech is supposed to welcome you to the family, but the truth is that you seamlessly became part of our family long before today. You're constantly kind and always eager to learn about other people, what they like to do, what they're passionate about, what they need help with. Danielle's not only a joy to be around, she's a willing resource for anybody who can use a hand. I know this personally from when she enthusiastically sought out contacts for me when I was searching for new jobs, an exercise I've gone through a couple times since the time I've known Danielle. And as well as how invested she was in the progress of my search. Danielle, you're a great person for anybody to rely on, and I know that you will be a rock for Shane throughout your marriage. And while your personal attributes are much more important, I also have to compliment your sense of style. And again, this is a bit personal, because I have to assume it's your influence that has me wearing Vera Wang for the first time in my life. So, thanks for that. And your dress is very nice also. I'd also like to share a few thoughts about my brother, who I love very much. Observations about the person I've seen him grow into, and how they relate to the husband he will be to Danielle. Sometimes people ask, what was it like growing up with Shane? And I guess it's useful to start by picturing the traditional big brother, little brother relationship, you know. Big brother teaches little brother what he knows, he tries to include him in games and activities, keeps him out of trouble, those sort of things. And I did do as much of that as I could, of course, but a couple factors shifted the dynamic a bit for Shane and I. One, as many of you know, we're from Upper St. Clair, so not a whole lot of organized crime to shield him from in our neighborhood. Although the next door neighbors were really bad news. And secondly, by the time I'd say Shane was 6 or 7, it was beyond obvious that he was already better than me in most of the stuff that I was ostensibly supposed to teach him. Pretty much anything two kids can compete in, he killed me. Foot races, baseball, basketball, golf, video games, ping pong, and not to mention his secret specialty, Connect 4. You can't beat him at Connect 4. It seems simple, it's like, there's only so many ways to play. I don't think I ever beat him one time. Anyway, this pattern, to my regret but not my great surprise, has largely held through the present day. But fortunately for me, he's added a lot of other competitive victims to his ledger over the past 20 years, so I don't feel quite as much like the Washington Generals anymore. And in terms of Shane's youthful personality, I'd say that besides when he was on a full-blown sugar high, it wasn't too much different from how people know him today. He was always happy, charming, and easy to make friends with, much like he is now. Undoubtedly, Shane went through some growing pains just like everyone else. In his case, they were literal because a rapid teenage growth spurt literally fractured his back. But on the whole, he was a pretty all-American kid. And since Shane's entered adulthood, he's only continued to project an image of success. He's always had a good job, made and retained great friends, added impressive new hobbies like carpentry to his long-standing dominance of sports, developed an entrepreneurial streak that touches multiple aspects of business, and of course, found a beautiful and loving wife. It's hard to find anybody who would say an ill word about him, and rightfully so. He's a good guy. But I think people often make a mistake when they evaluate Shane. It's an easy one to make, and I know because it's the same one that I made when we were growing up. And that mistake is making the assumption that he's just naturally good at things. That all his skills must come easy to him. That he's effortlessly able to maintain his composure and remain diplomatic in situations when other people might become hostile. Over time, I've come to realize that this simply isn't the whole story. Not even close. As I've gotten older and hopefully wiser, I've learned that nobody succeeds in life purely because of innate ability. And I'm quite certain that a person's character and temperament aren't pre-programmed from the time he or she is born. They're molded through time and adversity. So why is Shane the person that I love, that Danielle loves, and that many of you know and love? I think the answer starts with family. Shane, Sarah, and I were blessed with dedicated, devoted parents who instilled strong values in us. We were doubly lucky to have doting and involved grandparents who proudly encouraged our growth as people at every turn. Shane's kind disposition, curious mind, sense of humor, and fidelity to the golden rule all have roots in one or more family members' positive influences. I've also come to understand where his seemingly relentless competence and fluency in numerous skills come from. It's not just hand-eye coordination or a numerical mind or some intangible rabbit's foot. Shane's internal determination and grit allow him to spend the countless hours required to master tasks. Whether it's meeting the specs to finish a piece of furniture, passing a never-ending series of financial planning exams, finding the perfect gift for each of us every Christmas, or honing a golf swing that, as Brian mentioned, never misses left. Shane is willing to put the hard yards into a task until he nails it. Likewise, and I think, though people may not realize it, it takes work to maintain that even-keeled demeanor, that unflappable patience, and that sense of fairness toward all. Because let's be honest, life tests you, work tests you, people test you. But Shane doesn't let challenging events or challenging people make him jaded, surly, or impulsive. I'm quite sure there are times when he wants to snap too, but that very same internal resilience allows him to stay level-headed. Shane stays cool on the outside because he burns so hot on the inside. I know my admiration for Shane and his character and fit abilities have only grown with time. I hope my armchair psychology here tonight has helped you better appreciate his shining qualities. But the person I've described isn't just a great brother, a great friend, a great businessman, a great athlete, or a great craftsman. It's a great husband. It's somebody Danielle can trust implicitly, somebody she can rely on to tackle any problem they might face, and someone who will devote his entire being to her and their children. Regardless of the situation, Shane is that person that we all want to have on our side. He's a true man for all seasons, and I couldn't be happier that he's always going to be that person for Danielle. Shane and Danielle, congratulations. I'm so honored to play a role in your wedding, and I wish you a lifetime of happiness. So everyone, please raise a glass with me to celebrate the bride and groom.
Very well done.